This is Coach Lee, and you're listening to The Door Report.
Welcome back into The Door Report, and welcome to episode 347 on a lovely, very lovely Christmas Eve.
Festivus.
Tuesday, December 23rd, 2025. I am Will Byrum, joined as always by my co-host, Trevor Hulan, a.k.a. Hack Squat, Jim Duggan. Here at The Door Report, we are presented by 615 Collectibles. If you're into sports cards or sports memorabilia, check out 615 Collectibles on eBay. Items include NFL team packs, graded cards, individual cards, and more. Shipping is always fast and free. Before we get to the other regularly scheduled advertisements, on me and Trevor's heads, you will notice some new TDR gear. Vanderbilt hats, or the Door Report hats. We've got the one Trevor's rocking over there, which is a white cloth cap with a black bill with the TDR emblem embroidered into the hat. This was a major holdup, and why the hats took so long is finding the correct person to actually do a high quality stitch job on the emblem. That's one option. That one is going to be $34. This one I'm wearing right here is the TDR emblem black rope hat. So it's got the white rope here, TDR emblem stitch. This one will be $38. Both hats will be available beginning either January 2nd or January 3rd. I will post those links across social media, across everything. Shipping for the hats will be $6. This will be done through Stripe payment links. So just be an easy link. You can pay with your card, pay with Apple Pay, whatever it is. But we are super excited to drop the first TDR merch so you guys can gaze upon these beauties.
Long time coming, man. Whenever these hats came in, because Will kept showing us the blanks, I was like, man, these blanks look really, really good. And the hats finally came in, and I go, oh my God. Guys, I love hats, big hat guy. I love vintage hats because the quality was so, I hate to be like a boomer, but like the quality of hats were so much better back in the day. I could see myself being 78 years old at the nursing home. I'm on my last leg, and one of the little workers just comes up to me and be like, wow, I love that vintage hat. And I'm like, let me tell you a story. I can see that. I can see that in the future.
Yeah, these hats, I'm very happy with how they came out. So thank you to everybody that assisted in this process, and looking forward to people actually purchasing these, because there was an outcry for a while about these Door Report hats. So be on the lookout for that, and I'll be sure to post across socials whenever they are done. But I do promise these are extremely high quality hats. Did not skimp out on these, and the prices are reflective of the quality of the hat. I promise I'm not making a killing on these hats. I pinky promise. But those will be available beginning either January 2nd or 3rd. I'll figure that out, and they will be first available to premium message board subscribers. So if you're a part of Behind Closed Doors, be on the lookout for that. And if you aren't, you should be.
Yeah.
You should sign up for a premium membership on thedoorreport.com, and you'll get exclusive access to early drops to merch. Another benefit.
Snooze, you lose.
This is a limited run. So as of right now, we're expecting them to sell out pretty quickly, and then, get more inventory once we see the demand. Hopefully the demand will be something, and hopefully I'm not sitting on giant boxes of hats for a long time in my bedroom. So fingers crossed out there. But we have some additional ad reads here. Rowback Activewear. There is only one way to describe Rowback: best fit, best feel. For those who aren't familiar with Rowback, they are completely changing the game with their incredibly comfortable activewear. Rowback has released so many items within their newly licensed game day collection, and it's our favorite. With novel polo designs and clean hoodie and quarter zip designs for some of your favorite schools, it's definitely worth checking out. Nobody else in the market is pairing these levels of custom designs with this quality of activewear. Rowback's everyday shorts or their Delta performance pants are the perfect pairing as well. They're both super comfortable, have an elastic waistband, and a great fabric that is made to have the appearance of a nice short look, but the comfort for a day on the move. Rowback has also been proudly leading the NIL charge, having signed partnerships with multiple college football stars, both past and present, and are becoming the go-to brand for college athletes across the country. You can use code VAN20, that is VAN20, all capital letters, no spaces, on Rhoback.com for a generous 20% off for all new customers. That's spelled Rhoback, RHOBACK.com. That's 20% off all performance polos, shorts, and more with code VAN20. Last but not least, we have the NIL store, nil.store/doorreport15. Check out the latest and greatest merch from your favorite Vanderbilt athletes. Visit nil.store/doorreport15. Use code doorreport15, all capital letters, no spaces, for 15% off your next order at nil.store. Incredible merch, as we mentioned. Get the Chase Gillespie gear. That's the prime stuff to get.
Get your loved one for the holiday season a Chase Gillespie graphic T-shirt. To be honest, I hope I have one under the tree when Santa comes. Because I'd rock the hell out of that thing. Shout out Chase Gillespie.
Shout out Chase Gillespie. That is it for the ad reads, and we're fully into episode 347. We already plugged the hats. Continue to plug those through the episode because I'd love to see people rocking TDR hats. That would be a dream for Trevor and I.
Next, once we see people rocking the TDR hats, we just need a really diehard day one TDR listener to get a TDR tattoo. What would have to happen for you to get a TDR tattoo? Because you're a known not tattoo guy.
I'm not a tattoo guy.
What would have to happen?
Man, we'd have to hit a large no. If I was able to quit my day job with the amount of subscribers that we gained, I would get a TDR tattoo. Okay,
that's reasonable.
If this was able to become a full-time thing. Now, we are very far away from that. But tell your friends and family I will break my no tattoo rule if that is the case.
Getting a TDR tattoo is crazy.
It would be nuts. Here on episode 347, we have a lot to get to. Vanderbilt basketball is a tank. Can't be stopped. 12-0. One of only 6 teams that are undefeated now in all of college basketball. We're going to talk about Vandy basketball, go into their last 2 victories over Memphis and Wake Forest. Then we're going to do a quick recap on transfer portal activity. Some guys that are planning to enter the transfer portal, even though that window doesn't open up until January 2nd.
Mm-hmm.
I believe January 2nd through January 16th is the window for the transfer portal. We're going to update you on Vanderbilt's roster and the current movement. Then we're going to go to the TDR cocktail break before me and Trevor preview the Reliaquest Bowl, Vanderbilt versus Iowa. Me and Trevor are going to preview a matchup for the Vanderbilt Commodores for the final time this football season, giving our 3 keys to victory as well as our final score predictions before getting to premium message board questions. So, Trevor, Vandy basketball's 12-0. We got the Reliaquest Bowl on the horizon. We got the TDR hats in. Let's get a vibe check right now.
I mean, it truly is the most wonderful time of the year. A vibe check, 10 out of 10. Vandy men's basketball is a wagon. Vandy women's basketball is a wagon. Vandy football is a wagon. I don't want to look too far ahead. I might be predicting a Vandy Omaha appearance whenever we get to baseball, but we're not there yet. With that being said, 10 out of 10, vibes are sensational.
Vibes are sensational. It is the holiday season. Merry Christmas to everybody out there. This is going to be coming out on Christmas Eve. A lot of people will be listening to this over the next few days. I will add in here at the beginning, this is me and Trevor's final episode of the Door Report for 2025.
What if you said forever?
Forever. That's what I was kind of building up the anticipation around. Not ever. Just of 2025. We will be taking next week off, not really due to the holidays, but due to traveling
we'll
to the bowl
Tampa,
game.
Yeah.
So that kind of made that tough. So that's why we're previewing the Iowa game about 8 days before it actually happens. But this is the final episode of TDR before 2026. So the final 2025 episode of the Door Report. And we have a lot to get to on this beautiful episode. Before we get into all that and much more, we are now a part of the On3 Publisher Network. Visit thedoorreport.com today and subscribe to a monthly or annual premium membership and support TDR for access to premium content, as well as our premium message board behind closed doors. Also, don't forget to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at The Door Report. Like us on Facebook. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Our podcast is available on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, and Google Podcasts. And while you're at it, give our podcast 5 stars and review on iTunes or Spotify. It's now time for segment 1.
No. I mean, I can't speak to their process, but we love playing football here. And
Welcome back into episode 347 of the Door Report, and welcome into segment 1. To start things off, we're talking hoops. We're talking hardwood. We're talking Vanderbilt basketball.
Talking balls on the wood.
Vanderbilt basketball is a tank right now. One of 6 undefeated teams in the country, recently moving to 12-0. Right now, the undefeated teams remaining in the country are Vanderbilt, Arizona, Nebraska, Miami of Ohio, Michigan, Iowa State. Those are the only 6 remaining undefeated teams in the entire country. And most of those do not have 6 Q1 and Q2 wins.
Right.
I'll say that as well, and Vanderbilt does. Currently, Vanderbilt, after their victories over Memphis and Wake Forest, which we will dig into a little more after this, Vanderbilt is sitting at number 11 in the AP poll, number 8 in KenPom, and number 6 in the NCAA net rankings.
Number 10 in Evan Maya as well. They're top 10 in Maya.
So Vanderbilt, a universally top 11 team. Damn you, AP poll, from preventing me from saying universally top 10 team. But Vanderbilt did have an ugly performance against Memphis. There's no denying that.
Yeah.
We sat down here, me, you, and Chef Miller all sat down here and watched that game. It was an ugly performance, but as we always say, I'll take the ugliest victory in the world over the prettiest loss in the world. And Vanderbilt came out victorious over Memphis in overtime, 77-70. As Tyler Harris tweeted, couldn't throw a rock, couldn't throw a ping pong ball in the ocean.
Yeah.
Couldn't hit anything, but Vanderbilt emerged victorious. And then move on to a completely opposite performance on the road against Wake Forest. Vanderbilt was clicking on all cylinders against Wake Forest. Vanderbilt came out victorious, 98-67. I believe a
6-7.
I believe a 26-point performance by Tyler Nickel.
Yes.
Throughout this year, it's going to be brutal. I was talking to my dad on the phone. The amount of Tyler mix-ups that we had where it was like Tyler Tanner, I mean Tyler Harris, I mean Tyler Nickel. That's going to happen a lot during this season because Vanderbilt's Tyler cubed right now. But Tyler Nickel with another 26-point performance after setting a career-high 30 points against, who did he score 30 against? Was it Central Arkansas?
It was Central Arkansas, yeah. Because that was their best offensive performance outside of Lipscomb this year, I believe.
So one thing I want to point out before we kind of dig into those two games and get your thoughts on it, the scoring this season is so spread out and so equalized, and there are so many scorers on this roster. Versus last year, it felt like a lot of it was Nickel's a good shooter, but this offense makes or breaks on Jason Edwards.
Yeah,
this year
just chucking up volume.
This year's a lot different. Duke Miles is the leading scorer on this Commodore roster with 17.1 per game. Tyler Tanner 15.4. Tyler Nickel 15.3. Devin McLaughlin 10.3. Washington 9.3. Tyler Harris 8.7. Okereke 7.8. Frankie Collins 7.8. So those are the Commodore scores. Duke Miles. I was high on Duke Miles after seeing him in the exhibition game against Virginia. He's been outstanding.
He's him.
He is him. He is so much more than I think even the highest expectation Vanderbilt fans had hoped in Duke Miles transferring from Oklahoma. Tyler Tanner has been everything you could have hoped and more. He's kind of rocketed himself into like an NBA prospect. I saw in a mock draft recently.
Well, funny enough, Evan Maya ranks all the college basketball players in the nation. Evan Maya has Tyler Tanner as the 14th best player in the nation whenever it comes to his offensive and defensive performance ratings.
Yeah, Tyler Tanner's been outstanding, had an incredible poster against Wake Forest.
Yeah.
Let's go back to the Memphis game real quick because I want to end hyping up this team.
Do we have to?
But that Memphis game was not a great performance from Vanderbilt in any fact. They allowed Memphis to control the flow of that game.
Yeah.
Pretty much through its entirety.
Yeah.
Now, it doesn't help that Vanderbilt couldn't shoot the ball. And part of that is Memphis hurried Vanderbilt up. And that's weird to say because Vanderbilt loves to play at an up-tempo, high-tempo pace. But Memphis got them in a different version of that. A lot more like, for lack of a better term, a lot more like a YMCA type of fast-paced game than the game Vanderbilt wants to play. Duke Miles came out, 22 points, kind of what carried Vanderbilt through this game, even though he didn't have a very efficient shooting performance. Duke Miles had 22 points on 5 of 16 shooting, 0 for 5 from 3, but was 12 of 13 from the free throw line. Tyler Tanner played 41 minutes. Duke Miles played 40. Tyler Tanner had 16 points on 5 of 13 shooting, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, 4 steals for Tyler Tanner. Duke Miles had 6 steals, but also Duke Miles turned the ball over 5 times. So good thing he got those steals back. Nobody else could shoot. Tyler Nickel was 2 of 10 from 3. As a team, Vanderbilt shot 6 of 31 from behind the arc, 19%. Vanderbilt as a team shot 32% from the field. This is a Vanderbilt team that I believe is ranked in the top 10 in offensive efficiency, according to KenPom, and shot 32% from the field.
According to Bart Torvik and adjusted offensive efficiency, they're 3rd in the nation.
Okay, they are 8th according to KenPom. So this is a universally top 10 offensive efficiency team. Shot 32% against Memphis. I think that's a credit to this team. If they were able to shoot like that, you're going to have those games. Basketball's different in a lot of ways. Some days you just can't shoot. It is what it is. But they still emerged with a victory. Wake Forest, completely opposite story against Wake Forest. Let me get the box score up so I don't misquote any stats here. Tyler Nickel was unconscious. You have a game where you're cold, then you have one where you're unconscious. Tyler Nickel was 8 of 10 from 3, dropped 26 points, as I said. Duke Miles had 17, Tyler Tanner with 11, as well as 5 steals for both Duke Miles and Tyler Tanner. McLaughlin had 11, and Tyler Harris off the bench had 14. Nice to see him get going a little bit offensively. Seems like Tyler Harris has struggled recently scoring the basketball. Vanderbilt, of course, beat Wake Forest 98-67. So Vanderbilt's 12-0. The only remaining non-conference opponent they have on the horizon, New Haven. So it's looking like, unless, you don't want to say it, it's looking like Vanderbilt has a very good shot of being undefeated headed into SEC play. So, Trevor, how are you feeling about this basketball team? What stood out to you?
Man, so starting out with the Memphis game, like you said, I don't want to call it a rock fight, but it was an objectively ugly basketball game. And this might be coach speak, but I actually agree with this. I think it's good for Vanderbilt to get that type of game under their belt, because even though I think the SEC is down tremendously, it's still a really, really good basketball league. And Vanderbilt is going to have multiple games like that, to where the shots just aren't going to be falling. Our team's going to hurry them up and make them have poor shot selection. So I'm glad that Vanderbilt was challenged and came out with a win with that. But moving over to the Wake Forest game, that was Vanderbilt basketball offensively that we have really come to know over the year and a half thus far under Mark Byington. Sensational shooting. I said it earlier whenever we were going over the offensive numbers. Bart Torvik on adjusted offensive efficiency, Vanderbilt's 3rd in the nation. So you know they're a good offensive team. But if you look at defense, Vanderbilt's damn good on defense as well. If you look at their adjusted defensive efficiency, they're number 16th in the nation. They're a top 20 team on both sides of the ball. The next best team in the SEC is number 13 with Alabama. So Vanderbilt right now, according to Bart Torvik, is head and shoulders above every SEC team. So I feel really good about this team. I love what I'm seeing out of Duke Miles. I know that Tyler Tanner is sort of like the hot topic guy right now just because of how he's progressed as a shooter. But something that really impresses me with Duke Miles is, outside of his offensive ability, is I think Duke Miles is a really, really, really good facilitator. Like some of those passes that he makes, like his ability to crash the board a little behind the back or a little bounce pass to the open man in the corner or on the wing, I think he is sensational at that. I think he's got really good vision. Duke Miles is – it's hard for me to put into words how much I love Duke Miles and how much I think he means to this team.
So an interesting stat that's available on KenPom, and if you're not subscribed to a premium KenPom membership, you should be.
It's very much worth the money.
It's only $24.95 for 12 months. It's a great subscription to have, gives you great insight into teams across the country. Vanderbilt is 8th in the country in D1 basketball experience. 2.66 years on average of D1 basketball experience. So while it may feel like a lot of these faces are relatively new, this is an incredibly experienced Vanderbilt team. And I think you're seeing that. I think you're seeing the results. Experience trumps a lot of things in college sports. You saw that with Vanderbilt football, with how many graduate transfers they had. Vanderbilt's utilizing the portal incredibly well and identifying talent incredibly well. Duke Miles is a great example of that. Jalen Washington with how he's played so far is a great example of that.
Frankie Collins, who unfortunately Mark Byington made mention lower body injury. We're hearing it's not season ending, so that's good. But I think another guy, Frankie Collins, leaves some things to be desired offensively, but man, that dude's a dog on defense.
I think we will have some premium message board questions more about basketball that we'll hit on in segment 2. But yeah, Vanderbilt basketball's rolling. That's about the summary of it. And they got New Haven on the 29th of December. And then SEC play starts. Then the gauntlet starts. So the SEC may be down, but it's still a damn good basketball conference. Down from what they were last year. Maybe down in general, but it's not a bad conference.
No.
Like, let's not get confused with saying down from what they were last year to down.
Right.
In general.
Right.
It seems like Kentucky's down. I'll say that.
Kentucky's down. Florida's down.
Yeah, there are still some damn good teams in the SEC. Arkansas, Alabama. I think Tennessee's still a good basketball team, even though they struggled a little bit in non-con play.
They can't hit the broadside of a barn when it comes to shooting sometimes. They're a bad shooting team.
Yeah. Vanderbilt is not a bad shooting team. So
before we go on to our next segment, do you know who has the most Q1 wins in college basketball?
I do not.
That'll be your Vanderbilt Commodores. Your Vanderbilt Commodores with the most Q1 wins in college basketball.
Q1. Turns out, despite what Twitter may tell you, nobody talks about top 25 wins when it comes to NCAA tournament resumes. Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. That's how it works.
Like that Wake Forest game, that was a Q1 win.
They need to implement something like that into football, as I ranted about many, many times.
I think you're totally right, dude.
That's what it should be.
You're totally right.
It makes it make so much more sense.
Yeah, that way that you have like a black and white mathematical equation or statistic that you can follow. Also, too, it would be so much easier with football because there's so many less teams.
But it's like the top 25 thing bothers me. Because why 25? Like just
because that's always how it's been.
Just because that's how it's been. That doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything in football. It doesn't mean anything in basketball. It should be the top 25% of teams, then the next 25%, then the next 25%, then the next. That's how it should be. That makes more sense. It lets you evaluate a team that's like the 38th best team in the country. That doesn't immediately mean nothing.
Yeah.
If you beat the 38th best team in the country.
And they should do, I think what the net does, and we, a couple of years ago, were shitting on the net. I've actually really grown to love the net. If you beat a Q2 team at their place, it takes into account, hey, you went on the road and won. That's now a Q1 win. I think the football should do something like that because if Vanderbilt, let's say, played Nebraska on the road, they might be a 4-4 team, but you went to a sold-out Nebraska and won. That should count for something.
Seems too obvious as they've already implemented it for the basketball tournament. It seems like they could implement something like that on the football side of things. Whatever. That's a conversation for another day. All right. Anything else you want to add on basketball before we shift gears here?
No, because like you said, I have more on basketball, but I think that hopefully people asked about basketball and we can discuss it more in the premium message.
So before we get to the TDR cocktail break, I do want to recap the latest transfer portal activity. As I said in the intro, the official transfer portal does not open up until January 2nd. That runs January 2nd through January 16th. But as of right now, a lot of players have begun announcing their intent to enter the transfer portal. You've seen a ton of quarterbacks across the country, a fascinating amount of quarterbacks across the country enter the transfer portal. Last episode, we went over the 3 that had entered the transfer or were planning to enter the transfer portal from Vanderbilt's roster. That was quarterback Drew Dickey, quarterback Jeremy St. Hilaire, and offensive lineman Misal Sandoval. Since we last recorded, there have been 4/5 entries, as you reminded me, into the transfer portal. None of these are cause for concern. I will add that to start. First up, offensive lineman Cooper Starks plans to enter the transfer portal. Tight end Whit Edwards plans to enter the portal. Star Jalen Ruth plans to. And then wide receiver Boski Barrett plans to enter the transfer portal. There was one name I forgot there, Trevor. Who was that?
That'll be Derek Key.
There we go. Forgot about that one.
I know none of these are cause for concern, and I agree. However, one guy that I would have loved to have had back is Jalen Ruth. What we saw out of him in fall camp, that kid's a weapon. Unfortunately, he's sort of behind Brandon Fontenette. However, I don't know. I'll tell you what, this kid was not pushed out. He left because he knows he can go play at another P4 institution. And that's just part of the world we're living in. If there's one guy, I love my boy Cooper Starks. I would love to have Jalen Ruth back. That's a guy that I'm like, damn, I don't like that.
Yeah, Cooper Starks. And a lot of this is speculation. Like, what if this is guys seeing writing on the wall versus which of these are like kind of told to enter the portal and you know, the staff is like, we'll assist you finding a new place to land. I'm not sure about Starks. Whit Edwards, a lot of hype on that guy coming into Vanderbilt. He just was too small.
Well, the injury derailed him.
And the injuries.
And I think the injury is what prevented him from putting on weight, because he was rehabbing for a long time, and you can't rehab and put on weight at the same time. So he just got dealt a bad deck of cards, I think. Yeah,
and then Boski Barrett just got kind of buried in the depth chart of wide receivers. I mean, you saw Trey Richardson come in, and nobody's exactly like Trey Richardson, but he kind of has that same role in some ways as Boski Barrett.
Well, Caleb Barnett.
Because you were high on Boski Barrett.
I thought, but I think Boski Barrett's a really, really good wide receiver. But another guy that you saw sort of emerge was Caleb Barnett, who is a sort of similar. He's much faster than Boski Barrett, but like I think Caleb Barnett's another guy that took snaps away from Boski.
And Derek is a wide receiver, by the way, for those out there wondering. I just had to throw that in. But so far, no cause for concern for the guys entering the portal. This is just modern college football.
Yeah.
At this point, you're gonna have 10 to 20 guys into the portal at minimum every single year. That's just how it's gonna work.
Yeah.
Now you really have to dig into who those guys are. There could be times that Vanderbilt would only have 10 guys into the portal and we would be pressing the panic button.
Mm-hmm.
That is not the case right now. So everybody out there, not a cause for concern. Vanderbilt knows what they need, and they will be pursuing guys with the transfer portal. However, to close out this segment one, how active do you anticipate Vanderbilt being in the transfer portal?
Very. Yeah, I expect Vanderbilt to be very active. I think you don't need to be an insider on the coaching staff to realize they're going to be hyperactive when it comes to the offensive line. However, there are a couple of guys, or position groups rather, I should say, that I would keep an eye out on. I would keep an eye out on the secondary, specifically defensive backs, cornerbacks. I think that's something that Vanderbilt is going to try and pull some surprises on. Also, I think there might be an offensive weapon or two that Vanderbilt tries to pull. The reason I can't get more specific is because it's very early on, and quite frankly, like I don't have enough information to like come out and say this is what they're doing. Yeah, that's it.
See, I would say they will be active in the portal. However, maybe a little less active than fans are anticipating / hoping.
I think they'll be less. If people are expecting them to be as active as they were last year, then they're not going to be there because they have the guys in place.
Yep.
Like, for example, I just said, I hate that Jalen Ruth entered the portal. That leaves a position open at the star. But as like you think about that, like, oh, who's going to fill that position? We didn't see him this year because once again, new kid, unfortunately got injured. Van Hinton at the star position. I'm telling you guys, whenever Randall Fournette is gone, Van Hinton is going to be a star at the star position. No pun intended. That kid's got it. So they have high school recruited kids on the roster that they really like, that I think are ready to make that next step.
Yeah, offensive line is the one to keep an eye on. That is where Vanderbilt is going to be the most active. That is the position group to keep an eye on. Of course, you're going to want to add pieces across the roster, but offensive line, remember, this is all very new. Market values are being determined. There's no sport track you can go to determine, but keep in mind, it's starting to regulate. And as we all know from the NFL, the most valuable positions: quarterback, pass rusher, offensive line.
Tackles. If you want to get specific,
the offensive line is expensive. So a lot of the energy is going to be focused on this offensive line, and just don't lose track of how much that is. If you're just seeing a good amount of 3, 4, 5 linemen commit, that's a lot of resources going towards that.
Yeah.
So maybe what I'm saying is don't expect the big splash commitments from like running backs, receivers. Like, that's not really what you're going to see because they have those already in place.
I think Vanderbilt feels real good about their running backs and the wide receivers, guys. Yep. If that's what you're looking for in the portal, then you're going to be Also, I don't know why you would be looking for that in the portal if you're a Vanderbilt fan. I think they feel really, really good about that. However, well, and like you brought up a good point. You're like, oh, offensive lineman. Like, I get it's not like sexy to people who just casually watch football, but we saw what it could do to Vanderbilt football whenever you go in the portal and you get 5, 6, 7, 8 guys that can play ball. It happened to Vanderbilt this year. They went and got some trench monsters and turned into a 10-2 football team. That shit matters. Like, that's just as important as wide receiver. In fact, I would make the argument the offensive line is way more important than wide receiver or running back.
Especially,
that's just my opinion.
Especially with likely a true freshman quarterback starting. You've got to get the offensive line in place. Yeah. That's step number one. If this team doesn't, don't worry. For people that think we are sunshine pumpers, if Vanderbilt does not make significant moves on the offensive line, we will come on here and criticize.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Yeah.
But I'm fully expecting and anticipating that to happen.
Yeah.
They know what they need. But the offensive line is the most important position to watch.
There's no question about it.
Since we won't, when will our next episode be? It won't be this upcoming week.
It'll be January 6th.
So it will be right in the middle of the transfer portal.
Hey,
so that's why we're kind of getting
we're
a
having
little bit of
dude, we should have an insurrection on pod. Dude, we should have our own insurrection. What should we storm? We feel really good with Vanderbilt athletics
allegedly.
Right now, so we won't allegedly storm anything to do with Vanderbilt athletics.
The NCAA headquarters.
McGugin, you're safe for now. I don't know.
ESPN, the NCAA headquarters, somewhere in there.
We should go storm the hotel where the playoff committee was held.
They're not there.
Some Holiday Inn in Dallas, Texas is going to feel the wrath of 2 crazed ass men.
All right.
Allegedly.
With insurrection on your mind, everybody out there, grab yourself a delicious hot or cold beverage, and we will be right back after the TDR cocktail break. Welcome back from the TDR cocktail break, and welcome back into episode 347. It is now time to preview the Reliaquest Bowl, the Vanderbilt Commodores against the 8-4 Iowa Hawkeyes. On December 31st at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time in Tampa, Florida, airing on ESPN, Vanderbilt currently is a 5.5-point favorite over Iowa. Some news on the front of opt-outs. That's a really common thing you hear during bowl game season. Not a lot of opt-outs on either side of Vanderbilt or Iowa. That's what makes this bowl game so intriguing on top of an interesting matchup. However, one major opt-out on the Vanderbilt side that came out recently, Eli Stowers, Vanderbilt's star tight end, is opting out of the bowl game. With the opt-out, he has not officially announced. There's an assumption that he's declaring for the NFL draft. That's not a stretch of logic there.
Yeah.
I want to start out just talking about that, of Eli Stowers opting out, because I've seen some reactions on social media and the board. Trevor, what are your thoughts on Eli Stowers opting out?
It's smart. He should opt out. He has nothing more to prove to Vanderbilt fans. He has nothing more to give to Vanderbilt fans. He has earned the right to opt out of this bowl game.
Yeah, that's my opinion. I've seen some people with some negatives. I'm like, look, if you're opting out and you're a guy that's opting out and just saving yourself for next year, potentially entering the transfer portal, that's a whole different
set of worms.
Eli Stowers has been the man all year for the last 2 years. He has taken hits over the middle during that Tennessee game. He took an incredible amount of punishment going over the middle. Nothing but respect for Eli Stowers. If I was Eli Stowers' friend, if I was his family, if I was on the coaching staff, I would say, hey, man, it's up to you ultimately, but my recommendation would be opting out.
We're the biggest Vanderbilt fans, I truly believe this, in the world. And if Eli Stowers was in our living room right now and was like, guys, what should I do? I would look him in the eye and be like, you should opt out.
Yeah.
What more does he have to give or prove to Vanderbilt fans?
Yeah.
What more does he have to do? He's earned this.
This should not affect Vanderbilt fans' view of Eli Stowers in any way.
Yeah.
And if it does, then you just turn on your brain for a second. This is a guy that has a future, very lucrative NFL career ahead of him. This is a guy that has earned in every capacity the option to opt out and still maintain respect of Vanderbilt fans. Nothing but the most upstanding, incredibly classy guy. First winner in Vanderbilt history of the John Mackey Award. I mean, there's nothing more that can be said. And it is a tough opt-out for Vanderbilt. That's a huge impact player, but this in zero way impacts how I view Eli Stowers.
No,
so just wanted to make sure that was well known early.
Yeah. He objectively made the right decision. There is no subjective. He objectively made the correct decision. And I actually haven't seen any Vandy fans be upset about it. But if there are Vandy fans out there, I would say, think about it this way. If Eli Stowers was your son or your brother, what would you tell him to do? And if you say you would tell him to finish the season, you're lying to yourself.
Jake Butt.
Yeah, you're lying to yourself if you would tell him to finish the season. No, he has nothing else to give, dude. I'm glad Eli opted out. Dude, go kill it with your pro day, with your combine. Dude, go be a first-round draft pick.
Yeah. All you need to know is just Google Jake Butt, Michigan tight end, if you're wondering why this is a smart decision.
Yeah.
Same exact position as Eli Stowers. I believe it was the Orange Bowl he got hurt in.
That sounds right.
That feels right. I don't know why that's in my memory bank, but I believe that's correct. Getting to the Iowa Hawkeyes, a really, 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 really solid football team. I think that's the best way to describe Iowa. If you're looking for a different Iowa team, whatever you imagine, if you're a college football fan, and most people listening to this are, you know what to expect from Iowa. And this team this year from Iowa is no different. There's a great article available on thedoreport.com. Thank you to Hawkeye Report, and specifically Tom Kakert. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, Tom. Thank you so much. I wrote an incredible behind enemy lines preview about Iowa. If you're looking for a more detailed breakdown of Iowa than I'm about to give, that is the best place to go. Go to thedoreport.com, look at that article, Behind Enemy Lines, Iowa football preview with Hawkeye Report. Check that out. But yeah, this Iowa team is generally in the zeitgeist of football fans in college football. Iowa has a reputation of being a tough, consistent program, great defenses, great tight ends, good, solid, great offensive lines, but consistently struggle to score points and throw the football. That's the story of Iowa football in general.
Yeah, that's the story of Kirk Ferentz. Yeah.
And that's exactly what this Iowa football team is this year. They're not a team that gets blown out. They simply do not get blown out. They lost 4 games this year, one to Iowa State 16-13, one to Indiana 20-15, one to Oregon 18-16, and then lost to USC 26-21. So never had a greater margin of defeat than 5 points this entire season. Getting to Iowa's key players, quarterback Mark Gronowski. Solid player. Where did he transfer in from? I can't remember.
I can't remember either.
I can look that up 1 second because that's going to bother
Minnesota?
me. Is that right? No, South Dakota State. Gronowski transferred.
Okay, so I was in
the
general area.
Gronowski is a 6'2", 235-pound quarterback. We'll call him a dual threat quarterback. Definitely a runner. Produces through the ground game. Only threw for 1,529 yards this whole season. Did not have a single game this year where he threw for over 200 yards. That's kind of a crazy stat.
Yeah.
However, Gronowski did have 120 carries for 491 yards and 15 rushing touchdowns. 15. That's a lot of rushing touchdowns for a quarterback. So he can run, big body guy, tough to stop in the red zone. but not a great passer. Once again, this Iowa team really struggles to throw the football. Our running back, Kamari Moulton, missed 2 games this year, but still ran for 783 yards, 5 yards per carry. He's definitely the bell cow of that backfield. Iowa's leading pass catcher. They have some names on this roster that I'm going to butcher. DJ Vonheim, Iowa's leading pass catcher this season. Not gaudy stats, we will say. Iowa does not have a player with over 300 receiving yards. The leading pass catcher, tight end DJ Vonheim, 22 catches for 288 yards, 2 touchdowns. They only have 3 players that have over 200 yards receiving on the entire year. This Iowa team, I just want to keep emphasizing, struggles to throw the football.
Yeah.
Their offensive line did recently win the Joe Moore Award, which I know you're thrilled about. Trevor.
And I'll get into it too. I have some more stats. I don't understand how they won the Joe Moore, and that's not because Vanderbilt didn't win it, but like I'll go over these numbers. I really don't understand how they won this award. Just getting into Iowa, like you said, their offense. When it comes to the pass, I know you heard those numbers and you're like, "Ooh, wow, that's really bad." Just to put it into a little bit more perspective. Whenever it comes to explosive plays through the air, they were in the 10th percentile in all of college football. Whenever it comes to explosive passing yards or passing plays, that would be passes of 20 yards or more. They're in the 10th percentile. That's awful. Their run game, not much. I mean, it is actually much better in comparison to their pass game, but their rush game isn't really that good. They're the 78th percentile in success rate rushing the ball. Which isn't that great. For context, Vanderbilt is in anywhere from the 95 to the 99th percentile in both passing and rushing explosiveness. I just look at this offense and I don't know, man. I'm trying not to be biased, but there's nothing that as a Vanderbilt fan really scares me. Okay, running the ball, their running backs aren't that great. Like you said, their passing game is, to be quite frank, abysmal. Like you said, their leading pass catcher is a tight end. Next up is a wide. I don't think anybody has more touchdowns than just 3 through the air. Really, it's just if you can stop Gronowski's legs, you kind of stifle them on offense. And he, like you said, he is a dual threat, but it's not like they're going up against Diego Pavia. He's got less than 500 rushing yards. So I look at this offense and I'm like, man, this is like you said, a pretty traditional, to be quite frank, boring ass Iowa offense. Defense, they're a little bit better. Success rate against the pass, they're actually number 6 in the nation. That's something that I kind of want to highlight on. Their pass defense is really, really good. And a guy that I think on the defensive side that Vanderbilt should watch out for is Deshaun Lee, cornerback, has 3 picks. He's locked down. Their defense does worry me a little bit. However, their offense, guys, I'm just going to be frank, is abysmal. I look at the pass yards and the rush yards and their success rate in both, and I just don't see how this was a Joe Moore winning offensive line.
Yeah, Iowa right now is sitting at 121st in the country against FBS opponents, averaging 311 yards per game on offense. By comparison, Vanderbilt is at 7th in the country against FBS opponents, averaging almost 468 yards per game. So not an explosive Iowa offense. However, their defense is really good. Some names to watch out for on the defense. Max Lulin, that is Iowa's best pass rusher, has 6 sacks on the year. Carson Scherer, he's their leading tackler on the year with 78 total tackles. Impact guy at linebacker. Xavier Nwankpa, hard-hitting safety. I'm butchering that. I'm 100% sure I'm destroying that name. He's also one of their leading tacklers as well. He doesn't have quite as many as Scherer. If you want more information, like I said, go to thedoreport.com. Check out that Behind Enemy Lines article. Great breakdown of Iowa football there. But Iowa's defense is a really solid. I don't want to just graze over how good this Iowa defense is.
Particularly their pass defense. Their pass defense is very, very – they have a linebacker with, I think, 4 picks, but 3 or 4.
Just overall, Iowa has not given up more than 28 points on the entire season. That 28 points was given up to Rutgers in a win. Iowa's giving up just 15.9 points per game to FBS opponents. That is top 10 in the country. They're only giving up 279 yards per game. That is top 10 in the country. This Iowa defense is phenomenal. Like, that's why they're 8-4.
Mhm.
It's not because of the offense. It's because of the defense. So,
Yeah, agreed.
that is a quick breakdown of Iowa. You ready to get to 3 keys to victory?
I am.
All right. Have I been going first?
You
That's
have
been the good
been.
luck. All
Yep,
right.
you have
That's been the good luck. So I got to keep going first here. 3 keys to victory, then me and Trevor's score predictions. My first key to victory is very straightforward. Special teams. Iowa has a returner in Caden Wetchen. He has returned 3 punts for touchdowns as well as 1 kickoff for a touchdown. Vanderbilt cannot allow explosive plays through special teams. Usually my special teams means making field goals, those kind of things. No, Vanderbilt has been solid covering kicks and punts throughout this season. They have to continue that. Iowa's biggest offensive threat might just be their punt and kick return game. So you've got to contain Caden Wetchen. That's my key number 1.
Yeah, I think that's really good. Well, my first key to victory is going to be tote the rock. I know we just harped on how good this Iowa defense is, and don't get it twisted. They are a good defense. However, they are a little bit susceptible whenever it comes to the run game. I read you off the number 6th in EPA against pass on defense. Whenever we look at the rush, they're number 70 in the nation whenever it comes to success rate against the rush. So there is going to be a real chance that Vanderbilt can run the ball successfully on Iowa. So that's my key to victory number 1. Is run the ball early and often, make them respect the run game, and maybe that'll give you some lanes in the passing game.
Yeah, my key number 2, probably easier said than done, but that's most keys to victory. It's going to be force Iowa to move the ball through the air. If they beat you, so be it. Stack the box. Absolutely stack the box. Leave a spy on Gronowski. If Iowa beats you through the air, then they beat you through the air. Like I mentioned, Gronowski has not thrown for 200 yards the entire year. This sounds kind of opposite of a lot of things because, as we all know on this podcast, Vanderbilt's weakness on defense is Vanderbilt's secondary.
Mm-hmm.
That is the weakness of this team. Leave them on islands. Force Gronowski to beat you that way. Just do not allow Iowa to control the line of scrimmage.
Mm-hmm.
So my key number 2, force Iowa to move the ball through the air.
Yeah, well, we have the exact same key to victory number 2. I put load the box, and also I put / aggressive defensive back play. I want Vanderbilt to jam their wide receivers up on the line of scrimmage. I want them to play aggressive. I want them to play physical. And like you said, make them beat you through the air. Whenever it comes to just defensive back on wide receiver, I like Vanderbilt. Whenever it comes to linebackers and safeties and stars on tight ends and running backs, I like Vanderbilt. Make them run the ball on you, or make them throw the ball on you. Stop their run game, make them throw the ball on you. So we're locked and loaded there at number 2.
My key number 3. Glad to see we're on the same page here on our final 3 keys to victory of the season.
Took us long enough.
It's sad.
It is sad.
The tears about to come out of my eye. My key number 3 to victory: create explosive plays on offense.
Mm-hmm.
This is something we've seen out of Vanderbilt consistently throughout the entire year. This Iowa defense, it's nothing to mess around with. If you just pick up, they're not going to let you just pick up and slowly move the ball on 5 to 8 yard plays. That's not how this Iowa defense really operates, but especially you're going to have to create explosive plays. Break the top off this Iowa defense. They do struggle through the run, so it doesn't matter. They don't struggle. That's a strong word, but they're not as stout. They're not as stout against the run as they are against the pass. This doesn't mean you have to create explosive plays through the air. It doesn't mean it has to be an 80-yard Trey Richardson bomb. It just means you need to create plays of 25-plus yards, not consistently, a few times against this Iowa defense. And I'm going to be feeling pretty good about a Vanderbilt victory if you're able to do that. So my key number 3, create explosive plays.
Yeah, my key to victory number 3 is get funky on the defensive front. This Iowa offense, for some reason, won the Joe Moore Award. Vanderbilt's going to have to get weird to get pressure on Mark Gronowski. They're going to have to not just straight up bring 4. They're going to have to give these exotic blitzes. They're going to have to run simulated pressure, delayed pressure, stunts. They're going to have to get weird, and this is going to require both the defensive front and the defensive line, but also the linebackers. We have also seen that Stephen Gregory loves a cornerback blitz. I expect to see some of that. Just throw the kitchen at their offensive front. It's the last game of the season. What do you have to lose?
Those are me and Trevor's 3 keys to victory. You ready to get to score predictions now?
I am.
All right. Everything about this Iowa team is not scary. Okay? This is just the definition of a damn solid football team. Like I said, their largest margin of loss this season is 5 points. They've only given up The most points they have given up is 28 points in a victory over Rutgers. This is just simply not a team you beat the crap out of. They're just not. That's how Iowa's always been. That's how they are this season. I think Vanderbilt is the better football team. Even with Eli Stowers out, I think the offense is better. I think Iowa's defense is slightly better, but I think the weight of how much better Vanderbilt's offense is just greater than how much better Iowa's defense is than Vanderbilt's. I'm going with a Vanderbilt victory 27-17 over Iowa. I don't think Vanderbilt's going to put up an insane amount of points, but I do think they are going to move the ball relatively well. There was a small part of me that wanted to kind of go off the beaten path and predict a Vanderbilt victory of like 38-14 or something like that. But I'm very confident this Vanderbilt team is going to emerge victorious in the Reliaquest Bowl. So my final score prediction, Vanderbilt 27, Iowa 17.
You've made it easy for me because that's everything I was going to say. And also, we're pretty lockstep in our final score. I have Vandy 26, Iowa 13. So like we're pretty locked in on how we think this game's going to go.
Yeah, granted, I have not watched an insane amount of Iowa football this year, but I've caught a little bit. This is just not an Iowa team that even if you come out and beat them, you're not going to beat the crap out of them. I just want to keep restating that. This is a tough team. This is a tough matchup for anybody in the country. I mean, universally, the number one team in the country beat this team by 5, 20-15. So this is a good Iowa football team. This is a tough test for Vanderbilt, but I think just overall, this Vanderbilt team's better than Iowa. So we are both predicting a Vanderbilt victory in the Reliaquest Bowl. You ready for premium message board questions, Trevor?
I am.
I think we have quite a few.
Hell yeah.
Let's see what we got. I'm refreshing the page as we speak. Make sure to get the last ones in there. Oh my God, we got a lot. All right. Starting with Bex 4VU.
Merry Christmas to us.
Odds of making men's basketball Elite 8, women's basketball Elite 8, baseball College World Series.
I like this question. Odds of making the Elite 8 for men's basketball. I'm going to say 25%. Women's Elite 8. I'm going to be this a total shot in the dark, guys. I'm sorry. I don't watch Vanderbilt women's basketball. Call me a bad fan, I know. I'll also give them a 25. And is it to make Omaha or a super? Omaha. Okay. I am very, very, very high on this Vandy boys baseball team. I'm going to put it at 55%. I think this Vandy boys team has some juice this year, y'all.
Yeah, I still think of those 3, baseball College World Series is the highest odds. But that's just the nature of the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
In some ways. I mean, even if Vanderbilt ends up being as the latest bracketology has, which it's early, even if Vanderbilt ends up being a top 2 seed, that's still tough odds to make the Elite 8 and be one of the top 8 programs in the country in a tournament capacity.
And it depends on who's also in your region.
Yeah. So I'm going to say pretty similar to you. Men's basketball, I'd put it like 20% or so. Women's, I would put with how they're playing. And granted, I don't watch a lot. With how they're playing, I'd put it almost at like 35 to 40%. I'd put them higher. And then baseball College World Series, that's the expectation for Vanderbilt baseball year in, year out. So I'm going to put that more of like a coin flip. Even though they have struggled in recent years in tournament play, I'm going to put that at like a 50% odds. So it goes.
Okay, so we're pretty lockstep.
Yeah, baseball College World Series, women's basketball, then men's basketball. But that doesn't mean that I'm not extremely high on what I've seen from this men's basketball team. I've just got to see it happen in SEC play. Yeah. And then I'm going to be riding high. But I've got to see it happen in conference play. Still too early for me. Unabridged. Where would you rank Tyler Nickel on the list of best pure three-point shooters for Vandy? Top 10 seems obvious. Top 5 is probably debatable.
Great question, because I didn't ask this, but I have written on my notepad, Nickel, best shooter in Vandy history, ? It's time to have a debate. Is he a better shooter than John Jenkins?
No.
Are we sure?
I never thought I would say not 100% sure. But
does
pretty sure.
Does he have a chance of being the best shooter in Vanderbilt history after this season?
I don't know. I got to look at the all-time stats.
It's a debate. And then again, I haven't recently looked at what John Jenkins' 3-point shooting percentage was. I know his freshman season wasn't great. Sophomore season got better. Junior season, he could put a nail into a Coke can. But I feel like Tyler Nickel can do the same thing. I feel like Tyler Nickel is also way better on defense than John Jenkins was.
Yeah, I'm not going to put him. Jenkins is number one. And that question also went on to say something like Jenkins is obviously number one. I mean, Nickel has the potential to be up there with anybody.
I think Nickel's
6'7".
I think he's a better shooter than Goheen was. I think he's a better shooter than Mike Rhodes was. Like, I don't know. Let's embrace debate here. I think it could happen.
You guys answer that question. I think he's top 5.
He's top 5 easy.
I mean, his shot is beautiful.
Yeah,
it's basketball porn, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, Nickel has the potential, if he keeps shooting how he's shooting, to push for that spot. But I don't think anybody's passing Jenkins.
I cannot wait for the old heads to listen to this episode and
mad.
come back. They're going to be like, you think Tyler Nickel's a better shooter than Mike Rhodes? I know my dad's going to be like that. I'm going to wake up from a text from my dad saying like, well, you know, son, if Mike Rhodes had a 3-point line. I love you, Dad.
Next up from Kodak Black and Gold, of the teams in the college football playoff, how many do you think Vandy beats on a neutral site?
That's another great question. Oklahoma. I think with the way Alabama's playing, I think they could force Ty Simpson to throw some more picks. I'm going to say Alabama. JMU, obviously. They'd kill Tulane. I don't think they'd beat Texas Tech. I don't think they'd beat the top. I think they would have beat Ole Miss. I don't think they'd beat the top 5.
It's tough to say would beat versus the other. So, like, obviously JMU, Tulane, put them in there. I think they beat Miami.
I think they beat Miami as well.
I think they beat Oklahoma. I think they have a hell of a game with Ole Miss. I think they beat Ole Miss. I think it really depends on what version of Alabama you get. If you get the version of Alabama that was the first, 25 minutes of that Oklahoma game, yeah. If you get the version of Alabama that came back and beat Oklahoma, not so sure about that. But yeah, I think would beat / would have a good opportunity to beat, I think are two different questions. But yeah, I think the top 5 teams, I think they lose to are pretty major underdogs in those. But other than that, I'd put this Vanderbilt team against anybody with full health.
I agree.
GLH4VU, the analytics sites love this men's basketball team. Ken Palm 8, Torvik 5, Evan Maya 8. But I want to know what you see that maybe the analytics don't measure that makes this team elite. Can we take a moment to appreciate? Oh, this is another question. So what makes this team elite from what we've seen so far?
And I brought it up earlier. Everybody is going to say shooting. I think it's not just shooting, but I think you have multiple guys on the floor that are really, really, really good facilitators. I think Tyler Tanner is a really good facilitator. I think Duke Miles is a really good facilitator. I think I don't want Devin McLaughlin taking it up court, and I wouldn't call him a good facilitator. But if Devin McLaughlin does take it up the court, I'm not like shitting my pants. You know, I think that versatility is huge in today's college basketball.
I would say versatility in general
Yeah.
of this team. They have such a wide variety of guys that can score. And also the defense on this team has just kind of been way better than I expected. I think that's an underrated aspect of this team is how good they are defensively. Duke Miles, Tyler Tanner, Frankie Collins defensively, those guys are just outstanding. Jalen Washington has been well above expectations that I had so far. I would just say defensively, and then the variety of scoring that they have, that you can't just take away one guy. If you try to take away one guy, you're screwed.
Yeah.
On this team, I'll just say depth of scoring is what sticks out to me, and maybe the analytics do kind of take that into account, but that's what makes them elite to me. GLH4VU goes on to ask, can we take a moment to appreciate Eli Stowers? Genuinely the nicest dude, humble, and seems to really care about his teammates, his coaches, and the program. I hope he has a long and prosperous NFL career. Same here.
Couldn't have said it better myself. I hope the Eagles draft Eli Stowers.
From Roe Miller, High Life.
Oh, is this? I hope it's my boy.
Is there a path where Vanderbilt fans account for more than 75% of First Bank during big SEC games? It's hard being in Nashville, which is a destination city for much of the SEC and pretty easy to travel to. Even if we have sustained success, what are the odds we can actually have an overwhelming majority in the stands for football? I mean, I have my answer to this.
I think, is it possible? Yes. Is it possible now? I don't think so. However, the past 2 seasons, I think you've seen Vanderbilt fans take great steps towards that. I think the biggest issue that Vanderbilt is facing whenever it comes to selling out their stadium and it being nothing with Vanderbilt fans is Vanderbilt's fan base needs to get younger. That's no shame to the old heads who've been supporting Vanderbilt athletics for a long period of time. Salute to you guys. The fan base has to get younger, though. And I think that's the first step. And now I think that's something that you're starting to see, though. But it's going to take some time.
It takes time. It's going to take more than a 7-6 season and one extremely successful season.
Right.
But because the answer to this is simple. You grow the season ticket base. You grow the base of season ticket holders. That's how you fix this problem. But right now, Vanderbilt you have to have sustained success to do that because people have to be willing to buy season tickets and not sell them. So you have to have the sustained success. You just have to grow the season ticket holder base. There is a path to that. 100,000% there is a path with Vanderbilt's limited seating capacity. And you just got to grow the season ticket holder base. You've seen it get better. This season was so much better than it has been in past years. But it's just going to take time. Rome wasn't built in a day.
Yeah.
And Rome wasn't repaired in a day. And right now you're dealing with 40 to 50 years of just not caring about the product that was on the field. That doesn't get undone in 2 seasons. It just doesn't. So it's going to take sustained success. That doesn't mean sustained success of going 10-2. That means sustained success of not putting a dog shit product on the field. And then your season ticket base will grow. And Jared Curtis is a great step in that right direction because people are going to want to buy tickets to see Jared Curtis play. Coming straight from Diego Pavia into another exciting quarterback, people are going to be like, I live in Nashville. I'll get season. That's what you have to do. So it's just going to take time. And you got to grow that season ticket holder base because that's what creates a stronghold in your own stadium. And right now, Vanderbilt just has too many single game tickets.
Yeah. You got, like I said, I'll stand by this. You got to get a younger fan base.
And he goes on to say, second, losing our 2 most impactful players in Chuck Clark and Mason Romiller probably means we'll take a step back. Who would you target to replace those 2? Irreplaceable.
Truly irreplaceable. And Mason Romiller. I love Brock Taylor. We were debating, is Tyler Nickel the best shooter in Vanderbilt history? Is Mason Romiller the best place kicker in Vanderbilt football history? Is Chuck Clark the best tackle in Vandy football history? I don't know. I love those guys. Shout out to those guys. I'm going to miss them. God, I love those guys. Will Ferris, no longer with the program, but I love those guys, man. I love a walk-on. I love a walk-on.
We're big fans of the walk-on and the special teams guys here. That's the TDR difference.
I will forever have a soft spot in my heart for Chuck Clark and Mason Romiller.
Next up from JDL Cav says, number 1, what is your view on the impact of the injury to Frankie Collins?
You lose something defensively in the front court or the back court, certainly. I don't know you lose that much whenever it comes to offensive production. It sucks. Don't get me wrong. It sucks, but I'm not like worried.
That's a key depth piece. There are a few guys on this roster, I would say 5, that would really stick out as guys you cannot lose that would severely impact how this team operates. Frankie Collins, to me, as I do like Frankie Collins, he's not one of those guys. Tyler Tanner, Duke Miles, Tyler Nickel, Devin McGlockton, Jalen Washington. Those 5 guys are the ones they cannot lose. But Frankie Collins is a loss. I mean, he's an incredible depth piece and a rotational guy that's solid on the defensive end, but he's not one of those 5 irreplaceable. He's not replaceable on this roster right now, but you can get by without Frankie Collins. So it has an impact. It impacts your rotations, but it's not something that I'm exceptionally worried about.
Agreed.
2, the second question is a troll, and you don't have to read it. How about George Kimball? All right. Well, that was on me. That was on me. That was on me before the season. We'll take that.
Hey, here at TDR, we're big guys. We always admit when we're wrong.
It takes a great man to take accountability for his mistakes. I am that great man. Adam Baum, 1987. Is it too early to hear who we are targeting in the portal? What about the wide receiver out of Colorado or the offensive tackle out of LSU? Or updates on basketball recruits? I have no updates on basketball recruits. Tyron Stokes is an interesting name. Football, I would say keep an eye on Nitro Tuggle out of Purdue. But it's just too early.
It's really early for basketball.
Yeah. When we have updates, check the TDR premium message board. We'll provide them as soon as we have them.
We don't gatekeep updates.
No.
We are anti-gatekeeping updates. When we get updates, we'll let you know. But yeah, Tuggle, I'll keep an eye on Tuggle.
Also, he goes on to say, has anyone done their daily reminder for Reese Davis with the Bane video or Reed out drinking and partying during game week?
Reese Davis, ultimately, too, I think you have to remember, is a Bama homer, and he's still upset over Diego Pavia and Vandy whipping that ass a couple of years ago. So Reese Davis can screw off. He's dead weight on College game day. He's dead weight whenever it comes to college football analysis. I have no respect for Reese Davis.
I just think it's one of those things where I don't dislike Reese Davis. I like Reese Davis just fine. It's one of those things where it's easy points to score. He can come out with that video. He knows it's going to be extremely well received because it's the sexy hot button opinion to have. And it's very inoffensive opinion to have. You can just come on, shit on Diego Pavia, and you're going to get your 10,000 likes on Twitter. That's all it was from Reese Davis. And then last one from Adam Baum, 1987. Hate that the CFP committee robbed us of a playoff berth with these awful games. Anchor down and F the voters.
I'll drink to that, brother.
Yeah, this is maybe a good moment to briefly, because we have a lot of questions here, so I don't want to go too long, briefly talk about the G5 stuff. We got to stop it. Another extremely popular one to just be like, no, they deserve to be in, and that's the sexy opinion, that's the popular opinion to have. I get that. The whole thing with me is, no, there are no automatic bids, just the 12 best teams in the country. If there is an undefeated G5 school that beat a Power 4 program in their non-con play and has earned that right, put them. If there's 5 G5 schools that deserve to be in, then they deserve to be in. If there's none that deserve to be in, then none deserve to be in. But these pity spots going into those games, Vegas knew they were not going to be competitive, and they weren't competitive. That doesn't mean that every game in the entire CFP is going to be extremely competitive. You can go back to last year with Tennessee, Ohio State. You can go back years before. There have been non-competitive games. That doesn't invalidate what we are saying.
Right.
That doesn't invalidate what I'm saying. Those teams that were in James Madison and Tulane, did not earn a top 12 spot in college football. They didn't. So, yeah, it's a shocker that the team that lost by 30 to Ole Miss earlier in the year lost by 30 again to Ole Miss. Who would have guessed it? That you would have had 2 shitty games on? Who would have guessed it? Nobody could have. Oh, wait, everybody could have. It's whatever.
Yeah.
And anybody claiming, this is another issue I have with the final score between Oregon and JMU and the final stats. If you watched that game, come on.
Yeah, let's
that
be honest for a second.
34-3 at one point.
Yep.
That game was not competitive from the opening snap. And
they scored in 3 plays.
And this,
first
I
drive.
love college football. I love G5 football. I love it all. This is not me saying I want to see it split out into separate and they have their own tournament. That's not what I'm saying.
We watch Maction every Tuesday night here.
But guys, let's use our brains.
Yeah.
Football ain't basketball. It's not. You are never, ever, ever going to have a G5 win the college football playoff. Ever. It's a waste of a spot. You're never going to see that team win it. They might at some point, if this, and it's not going to remain the same, if this remains the same, you might see one win a game 15 years in the future. They are not going to win 4 football games in a row against this quality of competition. That's stupid. It's a complete waste of a spot because football ain't basketball. That's like, and if you don't understand what I mean by that, then you don't watch enough sports.
Yeah.
But football isn't basketball.
Yeah. And I'm as college football hipster as it gets. And I hate like Nicole Arbach and all these like college football hipsters being like, no, they deserve to be in because of X, Y, and Z. Like, guys, let's just be honest for a second. It's like you said, there's no chance in hell. And what they need to do, I agree, they need to get rid of AQs. And I hate to say this, but they need to get rid of conference championships as well. We didn't have a conference championship for like 80 years, and college football was just fine without it. Get rid of AQs, get rid of conference championships, and put the best, most deserving 12 teams in the playoff. And if you have a blowout, you're going to have a blowout, but at least you know you got it right. At least you know you got it right.
Yeah, I think the biggest part you hit on that doesn't get talked about enough is getting rid of conference championship games.
If we are going to continue down this route of the playoff, you have to get rid of college football conference championships, because then that gives teams an unfair extra game. And then now what they're doing is they're using that as a way to shield them from not putting any criticism forth on that team for getting a loss. Like, that's all it is. It's become a scrimmage.
Yeah.
If you can't reward a team, if you can reward a team, but you can't punish a team, that's a fucking scrimmage. That's not a real game.
I mean, we also went people like forget, and this is before our lifetimes, we went a long time without championship games for conferences.
It wasn't until like the 80s or the 90s.
I know the SEC was 92.
The Big 12 just had a conference championship, in the last 10 years? Like, come on, guys. Come on. Give me a break.
That was like the Big 12's whole marketing.
Yeah, we don't have a conference
point.
championship. Yeah.
Yeah, just get those. And I know that there's a ton of money on the line, and that's why people are hesitant to get rid of them. And it's a lot more complex. But that's the simple solution to this. Expand the college football playoff to 16 games or 16 teams. Get rid of conference championship games.
And get rid of AQs. Get rid of AQs.
Yes, get rid of AQs.
Get rid of AQs.
Yes, it's simple. Next up, Ezra Chris Magnon. In terms of usage among healthy players, it is sort of shaken out to be Tier 1, Tanner, Miles, Nickel, McLaughlin, Okereke, above 23 minutes. Tier 2, Washington and Harris, 16 to 19 minutes. Tier 3, Nicholson, James, and Bing. Who do you see getting more playing time in conference play, and who gets less playing time?
So that's a great question. If you look at Evan Mai, they actually break down who the most efficient 5-man rotation is for each team. And according to Evan Mai and the numbers, the most efficient 5-man rotation for Vanderbilt is whenever Jalen Washington is on the court. I think that as conference play goes on, you are going to see more Jalen Washington, and I think you're going to see less AK.
Yeah, I think more Jalen Washington. That's my number one. Once Vanderbilt enters SEC play, more Jalen Washington. I also think just because of how little you've seen him, you'll see more Mason Nicholson. You'll either see more Nicholson or more Leverett.
Because they're going to need that size.
Yeah,
they're going to need that physicality.
Yeah, they're going to need more size. They're not going to be able to run McLaughlin at the 5. So I'm going to say Washington number 1 and probably Nicholson number 2 in more minutes that you're going to see. And I would see maybe kind of exactly what you're saying, a decrease in Okereke slightly. I still think they like him on the court. I like Okereke's game.
I like him on the court as well, yeah, but I think I'm with you. His numbers are going to get reduced.
World's strongest Vandy fan. Why is Chandler Bing playing more minutes than Tyler Harris? Is he?
I think he is.
So this is another issue that I have not been shy about in past times, and this doesn't mean I don't think Chandler Bing can be a hell of a player down the road. I don't understand the infatuation with Chandler Bing right now.
I'm there with you.
He plays hard. I don't know what he really brings. He plays hard. He plays solid defense. He goes after the ball. He's not a dynamic scorer by any stretch of the imagination. I feel like his minutes are going to go down when SEC play hits. And if they don't, then I'll start to have some issues with
He
it.
brings you solid length that could stretch the floor a little bit, but I don't feel like that is more than what he takes away whenever he's on the court.
World's strongest Vandy fan goes on to say, does he have blackmail on Coach Mark Byington, or is Harris chronically injured and Mark Byington is taking the classic VUMC approach of we're a private school and we don't have to speak on injuries? I don't think that's the case. I don't think Harris is hurt. I could be wrong.
I don't think he's hurt either, but I think he's definitely rusty. Not rusty. I'm forgetting the word I'm trying to use.
I don't know what word you're trying to use.
I don't know what word I'm trying to use either, guys. I'm sorry. Bad podcast.
He goes on to say, also, does Tennessee Tech win a natty next year with St. Hilaire throwing bombs to Boski? I can see it. The boys did get dog walked in the first round, I will say. But yeah, St. Hilaire and Boski, check out the Golden Eagles.
Or check out Austin P.
Nah, not an elite program.
Well, Hilaire, don't check out Austin P because Chris Parsons, former 4-star from Ravenwood, Mississippi State transfer, is returning to Austin P. Hell of a quarterback. Boski, you should check out Austin P. You should check out the Govs.
Yet another door lawyer. Rage wearing my gold-colored glasses, but I feel like we would have beaten Oklahoma, Oregon, A&M, Miami, and obviously the G5 teams. I think Ole Miss would have been a dogfight, and the only team we might lose to is Alabama. All that to say, pissed we had to watch garbage teams this weekend. Do you think the results are enough of a kick in the pants to actually shake up the format for next year or in the near future? Not next year.
Not next year. In the near future, yes.
You've already seen the slight shakeup, which is Notre Dame is now guaranteed a spot if they make the top 12, which is what Notre Dame's admin has over top of the NCAA. I do not know. But how they got guaranteed that, how they keep getting special treatment, I don't understand.
Is there not just in college athletics, but in all sports, a team that has hung on to relevance that occurred in the 70s and 80s, has completely shit the bed for the past 4 decades, and still get special treatment the way Notre Dame does? I mean, maybe the Dallas Cowboys. But the Dallas Cowboys don't have their own TV right deal with NBC.
All of this is so dumb to me because we're acting like Notre Dame is independent because it maintains some historic college football relevancy. The reason Notre Dame is independent is because they're greedy and don't want to split the money equally amongst conference members.
Yeah, they have their own TV deal too.
None of this is to maintain any kind of historical college football stuff. That's not what this is about. This is about money. That's all it is. And for some reason, Notre Dame has slightly painted themselves in a light that it's like they're independent because it's historic and that's what they are. They're independent. No, it's because they want more money. That's all it is.
It's kind of what Catholics have done historically, really. So, I mean, you go back to the Reformation. It's kind of you want to go back to the Protestant Reformation. That's kind of what happened.
I don't even have it. Like, I never had an issue with Notre Dame until this year, and all of a sudden, it's just started to really piss me off.
Shout out to all my Catholic homies out there. I love y'all, but
from Vandy Fan 95, have you heard anything on Jared Curtis? How is he looking in practice?
Yes. We have, and he is blowing away the staff and what he's shown them in the bowl practices. Media does not have access to those. We have spoken to some staff and some players, and apparently, again, small sample size, Jared Curtis is him.
So there's another question here that clearly, this is from Mr. Magoogs. Clearly a ton of time was put into this post. And I'm not going to read it all because it would take me a really long time to read it, but I'll start out at the top.
Almighty.
How much more money is available for 2026 football versus 2025 football in terms of roster budget?
Can't answer that.
Where do you think that puts Vanderbilt in terms of rankings within the SEC and nationally? I had done my own numbers and projected somewhere within $15 million for the 2025 season. It's not right.
Yeah.
See below for 2025 analysis. I anticipate the budget needed to increase by 50 to 75% based on where we are seeing guarantees for new coaching hires. Auburn and Penn State at 30 million reported. LSU also pretty high. How does Barkley's new contract and roster investment guarantee keeping pace or not with inflation? I will say I read through the estimates on these numbers and I can't go into super detail. They're low.
Yeah, very low.
They're very
low.
I don't think people have a concept of what it costs for depth pieces on a roster. Yeah, Trevor wrote a note that I know is fact as well.
And like, we're not, again, I know we said we don't gatekeep information, and I'm not trying to blue ball
I just can't break.
We really cannot discuss that, but we can say with 100% certainty, your numbers on this post are very low.
Yep. Very low.
Now, with that being said, we know that Vanderbilt football is getting a huge bump for 2026, and there's been a lot of money put forth for 2026. That specific number, that is for you to play around with in your little mind.
Yep.
I cannot tell you that.
Your big mind.
Your big mind. Yeah.
We
your
have
big
we
mind.
have little
We
minds.
have little minds because we actually have to have people tell us stuff because we're like, hey, is this it? And they're like, no, you're stupid.
No, by the way, that post was an incredible
Yeah.
job, like breaking down, and I read through all of it. It was an incredible job kind of trying to put pieces together, but the numbers are tough and it's low. That's kind of where we have to leave it. If you have access to the premium message board question, he stated that he estimated the Vanderbilt roster was between 13.75 and 14.25 million. It's low.
That's very low.
Heard some reports that it's a lot more just to be a very to achieve being a 6-6 SEC team. You got to bump those numbers up a lot. So just leave it there.
Yeah.
GLH4VU, if you've made it through Magoog's novel, there with time to spare. I asked a question last week about expectations because of where we were ranked, and I think it got taken out of context a bit. I by no means expect us to be a top 10 in 4 different sports on a regular basis, but that the ceiling for each team is now higher than it's ever been before. And should we expect sustained success with some incredible years mixed in? Yes.
Yes. I think that's exactly what you should expect, to be honest. That's exactly what you should expect.
Yep. I don't see with how Vanderbilt's investing them going back to the basement.
I'm right there with you.
And so if you're not in the basement and you're fighting alongside everybody else with similar resources, then you can have a special year every now and then thrown in. You're obviously not competing with top tier budgets. You're not up there with LSU. You're not there with Bama. You're not there with Georgia. But you're there and you're competitive with middle of the pack teams like Mississippi State, Missouri. You're
Arkansas,
there.
yeah.
You're able to compete just like those teams in past seasons have had thrown in their competitive years. And if you go back to the old school college sports where it's prior to NIL, those teams would have random years where they were really good. That's where Vanderbilt finally is now.
Mm-hmm.
They're finally there where it's not just a fluke that Vanderbilt has a really good year, has a solid year. They can consistently be competitive. And then when all the stars align, yes, they can be elite. That can happen now.
Yeah.
That's where that couldn't happen before. That was a completely glass ceiling above Vanderbilt's head that NIL has taken away.
Like it wasn't that long ago that we thought 6-6 was a pipe dream.
In some ways. Magoog said, I didn't intend for anyone to read all of that on air. So good thing we did not.
With that being said, it was still a sensational post.
Yes, great post. From Unabridged, I'll probably ask the question again as next football season nears, but which rising sophomores do you expect to take the biggest leap next year, potentially becoming a starting/major contributor? Man, that's hard to say before I know what they do in the portal. I'm going to be honest. Carson Lawrence.
That was going to be my guy, was Carson Lawrence.
Well, I stole Trevor's guy, but Carson Lawrence is a guy that I fully expect to do that. That's my easy answer. Austin Howard in the linebacking group, but they still have, and that's going to depend on how the Langston Patterson lawsuit works out. But I really like Howard.
I like, dude, you took my 2 guys. I will say I name dropped him earlier. Van Hitton at the star position. I think that kid's got it. I think he could be him.
From Vandy Fan 95, what is your Christmas wish for Vandy sports? So unlike a birthday wish, I guess we can say this out loud and it doesn't not come true.
Santa is always listening.
So my Christmas wish is Vanderbilt to get high-tier offensive linemen in the transfer portal. That's my number one Christmas wish across all sports. And it's not going to be given. Nothing is going to be just handed to Jared Curtis, but let's talk like adults here. Jared Curtis, likely a true freshman quarterback starting. You have to build that offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
So my major Christmas wish is not flashy receivers or a new flashy running back or these superstar pass. My Christmas wish is Vanderbilt gets 4 to 6 high-quality offensive linemen through the portal. That's my Christmas wish.
My Christmas wish is that exact same. I'm also a little bit greedy, and Santa knows that. I would like for Vanderbilt basketball to make a Sweet 16, and I would like Vanderbilt baseball to make it to Omaha.
I like that. I didn't do other sports. Yeah, Vanderbilt basketball, Sweet 16. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to
Because
see
it doesn't feel like it's too much.
No, I would
You know
love
what
to
I'm
see
saying?
Vanderbilt baseball make a run as well.
Yeah.
But my number one Christmas wish, Santa, if you're listening, is the offensive line.
He is always listening, and he knows when you're naughty and when you're nice.
I want to see some beef. That's what I really want. I want some beef for Christmas.
Santa's just going to bring you just like raw ground beef patties. He's like, I thought you wanted beef.
Bobby Joe, he posted a breakdown of roster age and asks, I saw earlier this fall that Vandy football had the highest proportion of grad transfers on the roster, 22%, more than doubling Texas A&M at second place. Was this just a one-off fluke, or do you think we'll continue to see this targeting of fully developed 22-year-olds for one-year stints? Is this related to difficulties that undergraduates have in transferring academic credits to the university that graduate transfers wouldn't have to worry about? I think a combo of that. I would also say if you are a very high-level football player, and then I'll let you go.
Yeah.
If you're a very high-level football player, getting a graduate degree from Vanderbilt, you can just transfer in. And then you have one of the most respected degrees in the world as a graduate degree. Doesn't hurt. And also, guess what? Vanderbilt has a graduate business program. They do not have an undergraduate business program. So, yeah, I would say it's a credit factor as well as it's just utilizing getting fully grown men in versus getting 18, 19-year-old guys in.
Yeah, I definitely think it is a trend that I expect Vanderbilt to continue. I do think that your head's in the right place whenever we think about the credit transfer, because historically that's been correct. I think that might be changing soon for undergrads, which is news that Vanderbilt fans have been begging for years. I think that'll be changing very, very soon. I think that might have changed a little bit with the Clark Lee extension, if you want to be totally transparent.
Next up from McNulty Nash 1 says, hey guys, I'm flying into Tampa the day before the game and wanted to know if there will be a TDR meetup the night before the game like we did at that Irish pub before the Birmingham Bowl. Looking forward to seeing all my buddies in Tampa to celebrate a great season.
So I'm flying in late. I will also be there the night before, but it'll be like 10 o'clock. So I can't do the night before. However, I am free pregame. I would love the pregame. Also, this is something that we've discussed after the game. I would love to like go to a bar or restaurant with everybody and just get food and drinks. And we can coordinate that after, because it's an early kick. I would love to go get food and drinks with everybody afterwards.
Celebrate the new year coming in. That would be great.
Yeah.
I will be there. I'll be flying in the Monday evening, the day before the game. So maybe we can figure somewhere out to have a TDR meetup. Next up from Jamie Lee Curtis _15 says, number one, do we have an update on the timing of the TDR hat drop? We aren't all blessed with the flow like Trevor, so adding a new TDR hat to the wardrobe is mission critical. Yes, we updated that earlier. Should be live and ready to be purchased beginning of the new year. So,
and good news, since you are a subscriber, you get first dibs.
So the hats are in. Right now I am waiting on the packaging to send out the hats in. Everything was delayed because of Christmas, obviously. And then I just don't want to have to deal with any of the tax implications. So I'm going to start that in 2026. So that's so they will be live early January 1st, 2nd, or 3rd, somewhere in there. And we will keep the board and social media updated. Number two, to start the year, there was a lot of discussion about re-engaging the sidewalk fans and reestablishing Vandy as the hometown team in Nashville. With football and basketball both rolling, does it seem like there is renewed energy and buy-in around Nashville to come support the Doors? Or do you think it is still going to take more time and more success to start building the next generation of local Nashville fans?
I think this season, I felt like you really had a good step forward whenever it came to like invigorating the city of Nashville. I don't know exactly what their role is with Vanderbilt athletics. But there were a lot of partnerships with a lot of local restaurants and bars to be like the official watch parties for Vanderbilt football. I know if you walk down 12th South, I think it's Playdate, started having like a Vanderbilt flag outside their building, and there were a lot of like local businesses that you just walk throughout Nashville and you see Vanderbilt flags on businesses, so on and so forth. So I think that's something that they're actively trying to do.
This season helped. Having the biggest name in all of college football
Mhm.
helped. But as I keep saying, it's gonna take more. Yes, this was a massive step in the right direction that I honestly didn't think was possible. And they've passed the major 2 or 3 hurdles where Vandy does have some juice. They do. And for every one 58-year-old college football fan who said, I don't like that Pavia guy, I hate him, there are 5 15-year-olds out there that absolutely love Diego Pavia.
Yep, that's a great point.
And for every Reese Davis that you see going on that rant on Twitter, that's appealing to older college football fans. And for years, we've just heard Vanderbilt has an old fan base. Well, guess exactly who Diego Pavia and his antics, whether you can call them immature, irresponsible, whatever it is, you know who those antics appeal to? Younger football fans.
It's a great point.
So it's going to take the stage is set now. Diego Pavia has built the foundation, and that at times is the hardest thing to do, is breaking ground and building the foundation. Diego Pavia broke the ground last year, and he's built the foundation this year. Jared Curtis just has to step in, take the torch, and the rest of this team, if they're successful, you're going to see that change.
Yeah. And I think a great example of that, that was a wonderful example of like equating it to the kids. Like, and a perfect example of that is like Johnny Manziel. Like, we're grown ass adults now, but we were kids during Johnny Manziel. And I don't know about you, I grew up thinking, I was like, man, Johnny Manziel's got it. This dude rules. Same thing with Diego Pavia.
Yeah, I think there's something lost in that.
Yeah.
And I think it's like the thing that's like, wait, am I out of touch? No, it's the kids. They're
Pesky
the one,
kids.
It's like, no, for every old head radio or sports media person that gets mad at it, there's 3 to 5 younger generation football fans that are like, that was kind of awesome.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I
And
sit
that's
with
in
it.
all sports. Like the old heads now, whenever they were younger, they were like, man, I really like this Magic Johnson guy. And their parents were like, I hate this Magic Johnson guy.
Yep, exactly. It's a
Everything's
cycle.
a cycle.
G Barks 24 says, I have an unofficial Diego Pavia statement for the Charmin Ultrasoft Big J college football journos and the sports talk radio hosts who have slandered my beloved quarterback.
This is about to be good.
This is paraphrased from one of my favorite Eminem songs. I am whatever you say I am. If I wasn't, then why would I say I am? In the paper, the news, every day I am. ESPN won't even play my jams because I am whatever you say I am. If I wasn't, then why would I say I am? In the paper, the news, every day I am. Fuck you haters. That's just the way I am. Great song. That's on my running playlist that I'm not allowed to run anymore for the next few months. But that's on my running playlist. Great song. Eminem 50 Cent. P.S. Can't wait to see you boys at the bowl to crush some beers along with the spirits of these loser Iowa fans who think they stand a chance. Section 138 is going to be a jungle. Let's circle the wagons and get two turnt one last time.
Shout out to my 138 boys.
Somehow I'm in 231.
Shout out to my 138 boys. Section F goes on the road. You got to get a new ticket in 138, baby.
No, we're in. We went through Vanderbilt. That's just what they gave us.
Oh.
Yeah. Is what it is. I'll be there getting two turn. Pessimistic door. We got one more question here. This is the final one. Pessimistic door. Why isn't Jordan White being talked about on draft boards? What about his game wouldn't translate to the next level? He got an invite to the Hula Bowl, but what do you project is his draft range? So, number one, the answer to that first question, why isn't being talked about more size? It's just simple. He's only 6'2". It's the size, length of arms. He is being discussed in some really, really niche circles. If I had to project where he's going to go, he's a day 3 pick to me. But I think somebody's going to get a hell of a day 3 player that's in the NFL for a while because I think Jordan White can play center or either guard.
Do you know who Jordan White is the same size as? Future Hall of Famer Jason Kelce.
I knew you were going to say Kelce.
Because he is. He's the exact same size as future NFL Hall of Famer Jason Kelce, the greatest offensive lineman in Eagles history. He's the exact same size. I'm a Jordan White truther. I totally agree with this post. He should have been a first-team All-American AP. He should have been a first-team All-SEC. That guy's got it. There's not a better center in the nation than Jordan White.
0 sacks given up through the entire year. Yeah, Jordan White is going to be a guy. I think he will be drafted, but I do think it will be rounds 5 through 7. If I had to guess, he'll be a 6th round pick if I had to just guess right now. And it's going to be his size. That's going to be the main reason. And playing center is not, while this is the wild part of NFL draft and all of the evaluation. This is one of the few disconnects in sports. We commonly talk about the two positions that move the gambling line the most. Number one is really obvious. In football, it's quarterback. If your quarterback is out, that line moves an incredible amount. Number two is center. If your starting center is out, that line moves a tremendous amount. Number two biggest impact position. However, centers, because it's a position that a lot of people have the physical capability to do, it's not a highly drafted position. So it's a very weird spot. You're the quarterback of the offensive line. And for whatever reason, that position is just not valued in the NFL draft. So
most guys get drafted as tackles or guards. Like, man, you can't make it out there. We're going to throw you at center, which is mind-boggling to me.
Well, guards are also not that.
Guards are not. Yeah, it's the arm length. Like, your arms are too short.
It's just because there's a large pool of people with the physical capabilities of doing it. That's why they're not as valuable. But yeah, Jordan White should be a 5th to 7th round pick. But yeah, I think it's an oversight, and an NFL team will make up for that. That Jordan White's not being discussed as heavily. This is not even a question. I'm just curious, where do you think Eli Stowers is going to be drafted, if you had to guess right now?
Right now, based on projections, he's a 2nd round pick. I think he's the best tight end in the draft. He's better than Sadiq. Early 2nd with the chance to be in the late 1st round.
Yeah, I was going to say, for some reason in my mind, I think he should be an early 2nd round pick. I think he will fall to late 2nd, early 3rd. And I don't have a ton of logic behind that. I know he has a history of a shoulder issue.
Well, and
he's not a tremendous blocker. So I'm going to say late 2nd, early 3rd. If I had to project, and somebody's going to get a steal in Eli Stowers at that spot.
Here's my thing, too, though. Does a blocking tight end even really matter in the NFL anymore? Because, like, you look at your premier tight ends that get paid the most. Like, Kelsey cannot block to save his life. I know Kittle's a hell of a blocker. Dallas Goedert can't block to save his life. Whenever who else?
Jake Ferguson.
Jake Ferguson can't block to save his life. Whenever Zach Ertz was premier, he couldn't block to save his life. I'm just not sure how much that matters anymore, to be quite frank.
But that's maybe the reason that I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I think Eli Stowers is going to have a very successful NFL career, but I can see that being the reason that he falls, is he's more of that split tight end versus inline blocking tight end.
Who was that kid very recently, tight end out of Florida, went 1st round?
Out of Florida?
Yeah, to the Falcons.
Kyle Pitts.
Can't block to save his life.
But he might not be the best example, as he has not had
the
most profound NFL career. He's been a bit of a disappointment overall.
True.
Every year is his breakout year.
Every year, I'm like, man, I should draft him in fantasy.
He had a hell of a 1st round in the fantasy football playoffs. I had him in both leagues, 43 points in both leagues. Still lost both leagues, by the way, so it didn't matter. But I got knocked out in the 1st round of both. Anything else you want to add on episode 347 before we close it out?
I don't believe so. No, sir.
All right. Everybody out there, have a very Merry Christmas and a very happy holidays. For myself, Will Byrum, and my co-host, Trevor Hulan, this has been the final episode of 2025. This has been episode 347 of The Door Report, powered by 615 Collectibles.